Welcome back to Blog Access 101. I'm your host, Young Abachi. Man, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by searching Blog Access 101. If you're YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This is episode 259. I'm here today with my co-host, Jeremy. What up, Jeremy?
What up? What up? What up?
Not much. We jump right into it. We obviously saw Ann Edwards in Minnesota Timberwolves. Silence the haters. A lot of people were saying Lakers in five, a la Shannon Sharp. And then once the Lakers started losing, they were saying Lakers in seven.
Yeah,
Clearly, nobody outside of Timberwolves fan expected Timberwolves to beat the Lakers at all, but definitely in five. I said earlier, I was like, I didn't think the Lakers they would let LeBron lose, their game at home, and I was wrong. I was definitely shocked. Paul Pierce, a lot of them haters over there saying the Lakers need to move on from LeBron. These are the same people talking from the comfort of their couch or in an office chair at the office. Um, I don't think they need to move on from LeBron, but I definitely feel like they need to bolster their bench in the upcoming offseason, whether that be via trades or through the draft and for free agency. Um, they need a solid big. I like Jackson Hayes, but I would much rather see him um, like a rim protector. I
yeah.
had him come off the bench and try to. I've seen some things about Brook Lopez. I'm not
hmm
really too sold on that because obviously, I mean, I love Brook Lopez, great, solid defender, solid player in the league for all the years he played coming from Stanford, playing in Milwaukee. But I just feel like Brook Lopez is a little older, and it's like you want to get younger, especially when you're one of your marquee guys outside of Luka is LeBron James is 40.
Yeah.
So I don't think you want to get older. I kind of feel like you want to get younger.
Mhm.
But you can let me know your thoughts on, obviously the Lakers going losing 4-1. Then thoughts of what they need to do in the offseason before we go talk about Aaron Edwards becoming the face of the NBA.
Yeah, well, I definitely think they need to attack the draft, find some, quality big men and, college coming out. I feel like they need to definitely address that center position because Jackson Hayes I think he's a little bit more timid, shy, not as, I would say, rough and edgy as Roy Hachimura. That he came to, fill in that role as center. There's a few games in the series where they actually bench Jackson Hayes because I mean the production wasn't there. So I think they definitely need to look into free agency. I would say that Brook Lopez definitely up there in age. I think you can find some other talent that could be able to adjust and be able to fill in those blanks as well. But you look at the bench production in that series, the Minnesota Timberwolves production off the bench was far superior. They went and got DiVincenzo from the Knicks, and he could have been a starter. So we got to look at kind of who's coming off the bench, how are they producing, and are they actually allowing our starters to get some rest.
It's definitely, a player that I was trying to see for like that would actually help them. John Collins, obviously injury prone.
Yeah.
Maybe they can do him to like a 1 year or maybe 2 year deal where they do a team option on the second, see how it plays out. Um, but a player that what he was like 26 million this past year. Obviously player option. I feel like he definitely opts out of Utah if he has any sense, unless he's trying to, because obviously Utah's not a team that's going to be a team fighting for a playoff spot. If we're just being brutally honest, if he wants to go play for a team, that's been a player, obviously has been used to being in the playoffs all those years when he played for Atlanta Hawks. I feel like he wants to go back to playing at a high level on a team that can win a championship or at least be a playoff contender. And I feel like the Lakers that would be a wise move for them to make it. Not offer him too much again because injury prone, but maybe they can get a team friendly deal with him, younger guy. What he had 19 points, 19 points, 8 rebounds this season when he was healthy. So I mean, he's not an Ant Davis. You can never compare apples to oranges or a Porsche to Honda Civic. No disrespect that
Mhm.
John Collins saying he's a Honda Civic, but he's not Anthony Davis. But he is a solid player nonetheless. That could be a player they can go after. Also, if you really want a solid rim protector, maybe a Clint Capella. Um,
Yeah.
that obviously he's going to be the guy, the high flyer that they need, and guy that Ant Davis does with the rim protector. And, to have someone in the paint that they're going to fear. Again, but the only issue with him is again health. Can he stay healthy? Um, which is why again they should probably offer him a team friendly deal. Obviously, Bron's player option. I feel as though Bron should probably take a little pay cut. if he really wants to serious about going after that fifth ring. Because if you take a pay cut, if I'm him, I would say if I'm taking this pay cut, y'all need to make some acquisitions that's going to bring us a championship. They have us contention to bring a championship to us. Um, Another option, you got Al Horford, um, older, of course, still a solid glue guy in the locker room. Um, wouldn't say he's a super strong rim presence, but he does his job down there. Definitely would get you them rebounds, which you probably can give super cheap. Maybe try him on a vet minimum. Celtics are probably going to have to lose him due to, uh, them probably being over the cap this year. They don't want to be doing that, and they got to get rid of some players. I know Drew Holiday is probably going to be the first one to trying to shop this offseason due to them being over the cap. A lot of people are saying Porzingis. Yes and no, because obviously injury prone. I feel like he got has 2 years left on his contract.
Mhm.
If I had to go down between Porzingis and Drew Holiday was definitely underwhelming this past season. Um, Derek White is showing he's a solid player, as well as he can defend and score, and he's a younger option. So I feel as though Drew Holiday is the odd man out. And if they want to get crafty, maybe KP, but I just don't think that would be a wise decision, especially when we saw what he did in the NBA Finals last year when he was healthy. Now, again, the issue with him is health, but when
Mhm.
healthy, he does what he needs to do. So I don't see them moving KP or Derek White. So I see Drew Holiday's odd man out, as well as Horford. And going back to the Lakers, that'd be a wise pick for them to get if they want to have someone to mentor young Jackson Hayes. Um, but do you see any acquisition the Lakers should do?
Honestly, I was looking at the list right here. I mean, I was looking at I don't know if Daniel Gafford or from the Dallas Mavericks, if he is restricted or if he is that player option is there. But what he did with the Mavericks coming, even starting or coming off the bench, I think that was definitely something that could be adding a presence. And then just looking at some other options here, just being able to, bring in someone that is actually going to be and boost the team morale. Just looking at, we have, I don't know about these guys. Like, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie, he can play multiple positions, but I feel like he's definitely not going to, fill that center, position that need be. So I mean, I like the fact of getting, someone that can come in, mentor, but also just be someone that can just give, some solid minutes and then definitely allow the young guys to like coach them up, but be that second coach that on the Lakers roster that besides JJ Redick, because I'm not gonna hold you. JJ Redick is a player's coach, so he's someone that you're definitely going to need some other teammates or players that he's coaching to step up to actually mentor the kids as well. Because I mean, I feel like the he's he's their age. I mean, like in terms of like he's like he JJ Redick could be playing out there, but like I mean, I feel like they put him in that position because he can build that rapport. So having someone that can mentor the center and that can get in that space and just give him the tough love he needs, he can build over time. I mean, because I think that's what Roy Hachimura did, and I think if not correct, what year is this for him? Third, second, like.
Oh, you talking about what, LA? I think it's about his third year, LA.
Yeah, so I mean, and look where he's at now. Like, I mean, he's definitely doing good. So I mean, I feel like the style of play at the Lakers was definitely changed the pace, and it was something that, like, I mean, that came out of mentorship purely, like for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel as though, as I talked about with bolstering the bench, I like Roy Hachimura, but I would like to see him come off the bench if I'm being totally honest. Um, great player, but sometimes he fizzles away during the games. And I feel like they need a solid, three to be able to play with Bron and them. But yeah, Gafford would be a great pick. I just don't feel like Nico would make another trade with LA, especially with Gafford still having three other in conference. But that's definitely a rim protector they need. And then we already see how Nico tried to throw shade at Luka with the defense. You see, I guess you can say he's a defensive minded GM, which is never said
Mhm.
for any GM before. But here we are. So yeah, I don't think your narrative. You looking for defensive players. I don't feel like they were traded. But I mean, it's a good idea though. Um, but and then you gotta figure out to find, Dalton Connect, great shooter. Gotta find minutes for him. Obviously,
Yeah,
he's a rookie, but
he's
playoffs,
still.
they didn't play him enough. But I understand it because he's a young guy. But you've got a player that magnitude. You got to figure out a way to how to get him in there for a little bit when somebody can shoot like that. But um, everything. Everybody can be a critic was how they could have did this, could have did that. But end of the day, what they were doing got them into the playoffs and was a strong 3 seed, obviously behind right the Rockets and then OKC.
Mhm.
So which is why it's kind of shocking they leave that early, losing in first round, and then lose in 5 games in the first round at home, which is kind of a huge blow for them. Um, but yeah, it was interesting because the closeout game, Ant Edwards, he didn't have the best score on night, but he affected the game in other ways. What he had 15, 11, and 8.
Yeah.
The fact that you lose a game five, Julius Randle finally woke up. I feel like, obviously got traded early on from the Lakers, but even then, when you play against a team that traded you, particularly in the playoffs, you want to give your best. But he had 20, I think he had 23 in that closeout game, 23, 25 in that closeout game. Then you got
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert having a 20-20 on you for a closeout. Like,
Yeah. 27, 24. I think
yeah,
that was crazy.
yeah, and it's
Insane.
like, yeah, it's because it's like, everybody talks about Ant Edwards, which is great, but it's like you look at the young guys on that team. Well, I wouldn't say Rudy Gobert's a young guy, but you look at the Nas Reed,
Yep.
DiVincenzo.
Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, you got these guys killing it. That was the issue. I feel like the Lakers. Obviously your superstars did what they needed to do, but your glue guys didn't do what they needed to do.
Hmm.
Rory March Hachimura was having off and on games. Um, AR had a few good games here and there, but it was just like it wasn't consistent. Whereas you see, if Nasri had a bad game, here come Julius Randle doing his thing.
Hmm.
Obviously, people was like kind of like they didn't know how Timberwolves would bounce back after losing Cat and trading him for Julius Randle.
Hmm.
A lot of people saying it was a bad trade for Minnesota, but I feel like it was a good deal for both parties. One is woken up Cat. He struggled a little bit in that closeout game against the Pistons, but for the most part, he been playing well in the playoffs. Julius Randle looked like he got revived. I wouldn't say reviving his career, but looked like he found his home in Minnesota. A lot of people always said Julius market wasn't made for big markets, as we saw when he was in New York, as well as when he was with the Lakers early on in his career when he got drafted. So I feel as though Minnesota is a perfect small market team for him to grow. And we really haven't seen, and I just feel as though Minnesota has a great team of young core, but still having those like older veterans like Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert. So I feel like they have, and I love Finch, great coach. Um, and I feel as though they're gonna make a run. And a lot of time people when you jump the next step with Ant Edwards coming face in the NBA. We said time and time again, Ant Edwards saying he doesn't want to be the face of the NBA. I get it.
Hmm.
Especially a young guy, you just want to be out there living, having fun, making money, playing a sport that you love, which he's doing.
Hmm.
But if you in all the commercials, the Adidas commercials, you was in that movie. I forgot the movie it was. It was with Juan Homges when he was trying to get drafted from Spain. You're in movies now, you're in commercials, car commercials, and you say you don't want to be the face of the NBA. Okay, right. You don't want to be a face of the NBA, but you're in commercials, you get a sneaker deal. You
Yeah.
can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know what comes with it. They want him to be a turbulent type of person, but that's when you got to speak up and like, yeah, I'm just gonna be who I am. And I feel like that's what he's been doing. Like, I mean, some of the stuff is kind of immature, but young kid, 20 in his early 20s,
Yeah.
like people always saying this and that, but it's like they forget how fast they were in their young early 20s and what they were doing back
Exactly.
then. So you got to give grace a little bit, but
Hmm.
as long as he does his thing, does his ball, like do the right things, playing well, eventually winning a championship, doing the right things off the court, not being involved in no drama. I feel like he should be fine. He don't need to be a Steph Curry or a LeBron James. He just need to be him. Um, but like at this point, I feel like he's gonna become the face of the NBA. I don't know if you listen to Melo podcast, um, but he was talking about how like the league is looking for that next new face that is
Uh,
American. Like obviously
yeah.
people saying Wemby, but
Yeah.
obviously the game has become internationally
Yeah.
renowned. But at the end of the day, basketball was created in America, so
Yeah.
they're gonna need that face of the NBA to be American. And
Hmm.
I feel like it's between Tatum and Ant Edwards, and I feel as though Tatum's my favorite player this at that era right now, this era generation.
Yeah.
But Ed Edwards is downright a dog. He's a Martin people like it's hard to hate him because just the way he plays. Like it's never no days off. The knock with Tatum is he's too laid back. or something that doesn't really have that
Not
killer
strong.
mindset. But with Ant Edwards, that's not the case. I only thing you can say is probably he's rougher on the edges, where he
Yeah,
just say wild stuff. But it's like,
he
hey, I
say
mean,
what
that's
he
just who
wants.
he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but when you get him on the court, he's going to do what he needs to do. And I feel as though he already knocked off LeBron James, which in my opinion is the greatest player of all time.
hmm
Um, and he's looking next to go against the Rockets and Warriors.
yeah. Or
Obviously, Game 7 today, which I think the Warriors are going to win
mhm,
just because of their uh,
experience.
yeah, experience and
Yeah,
maturity, and then they just have players that've been there before. That I love the Houston Rockets team, what they've been doing over there. Shout out to Udoko. But they still got some growing to do. Like we talked about before the podcast, I feel that they need to make a trade this offseason for a star player, a la KD. Maybe I don't think only player I can see that they would trade because Phoenix probably gonna want some young players and draft picks. It's got to be
hmm
Jabari Smith because you don't trade Sengun, you don't
yeah.
trade Jalen. Um, and
No,
the odd man out's got to be Jabari Smith, unfortunately. But you really don't lose. I don't want to say like you don't lose too much because you still get KD, a scorer that's a solid forward that can defend, and I said a better scorer than Jabari Smith. He still has time to grow into that score. Great player coming out of Auburn. But you got to, in order to get a player of KD, you got to have to trade a young guy and probably a few draft picks, and that's what you got to do if you're
yeah,
serious about winning, taking the next step. So I think the Warriors win today, and I feel like end up playing Minnesota, and I feel as though Minnesota beats them in 7. If you go through Steph and Bron coming out the West, I mean,
yeah.
obviously you go to West Conference Finals. I feel as though I think they played Denver again, which the team they beat last year. I love OKC, but it's just something about them I still don't
Think so?
trust.
Well,
Yeah, it's just something I still don't trust about OKC, and I feel as though I said to myself, the winner of that, because I obviously had the Lakers come out of the West before the series, before the playoffs started.
yeah,
Um, Actually, before the season started, I had Lakers and Celtics in the finals. But as we saw them lose, I said to myself,
yeah.
the winner out of that 4 or 5 is probably going to be
hmm
the team. If it's not Ant Edwards that comes out of that, it's going to be Ant Edwards versus whoever that 4 or 5 is to come out of the West.
yeah,
Um, I don't see OKC beating. I didn't see OKC beating the Clippers or Denver. Obviously now we know it's going to be Denver. I see Denver in 7. So I say it's going to be Denver and if you run through Steph, Bron, and then potentially Jokic, they go to NBA Finals to probably for more likely play a Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown's superstar team, along with sprinkling in there Derek White. Um, he has no choice but to be the face of the NBA, whether he wants it or not, because the run of that magnitude, like, can't go unnoticed, and it unfortunately puts a spotlight on you, even if you don't want it.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely think so. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Definitely looking forward to seeing how it shapes up. I think there's so many things that you can point out in his game that really stands out that would make him step into that limelight. I think, like you said, he's rough around the edges. He definitely says what's on his mind in the moment. Definitely lets it fly. But I'm excited. Like I think the edge of his play, I think is really cool to be able to see him, step into this spot and be able to, take that, that torch that I would say LeBron James is lit so light. Like it's really going to be exciting. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's going to be an interesting series between what is it, the Nuggets and is it the OKC? So I'm definitely excited to see that series. I do agree with you a bit. I mean, Nuggets have that experience from what they had last year or a couple years ago when they won the ship. But I think I can see the Nuggets coming out of that because of their bench. We talk about so much about bench play. Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook, and then the role players Kevin Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. It seems like they flip flop around having good games, and who's going to come out and have a double double or get the points and all of that. So I feel like that's going to be good too as well. And just kind of that their team camaraderie as well is great too. So when you think about it and you put it in your perspective that you just said, then I definitely can see the Nuggets coming out because OKC, I think, they're still while they're doing great. Like I mean, I can see like Shea if he gets out of hand, him trying to take over the game, and then they just locking him up, or Jalen Williams not being inconsistent, or I can see some things going wrong with which on that standpoint. I think definitely I can see the Nuggets taking it maybe like 4-2. I give it 4-2.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely gonna be a battle down low because Chet is a great defender, but you playing
Yeah,
Jokic, he has his way. We saw he was having his way a little bit. Zubac over there
yeah,
in round 1 against the Clippers, and I feel like Zubac is a great defender. A
yeah,
la another player that the Lakers should never trade it. But um, it's just I feel as though that in like Michael Porter Jr. with the shoulder injury, still a solid player. Like you talked about earlier, they have a better bench. I feel as though they're going to throw different players at him, maybe Christian Braun, or they'll throw like a
Mhm.
Russell Westbrook at him, and just try to like mix it up to make Shea as much uncomfortable as possible, or try to make someone else be like a Jalen Williams, which can work in their favor. He can either hurt them or kill them. Hurt them or lose the game for OKC, which
Mhm.
is, if I had to choose to put the ball in the game and Jalen Williams, if I'm the opposing team or Shea, I'm definitely going to be like, all right, let's try to phase their Shea out as much as possible and force someone else to step up with a la Jalen Williams, see if he's really ready for these bright lights and run and a deep postseason run. So that's going to be a great series, but just back to Minnesota. They just they're having a great run. A lot of people, we're seeing the trade is finally paying off. You get DiVincenzo over there, add another player to bolster your roster, which I think was a big move for them. Then drafting young Rob Dillingham. Hopefully, he gets to see more time eventually in the upcoming seasons. I don't know, obviously not this season, but I feel like he's a future great player. Point guard, but we'll see what happens. And then shout out to Denver for making out the first round with a new coach they just picked up on the street. Honestly, picked up the street. We started working with 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Legendary moments, definitely 30 for 30 coming soon. Beating the Clippers team where Ty Lue was 4-0 in the game sevens, and you beat them obviously at home with a brand new coach.
yeah,
So shout out to Denver Nuggets. You did the unthinkable there. Memphis Grizzlies, take notes because
yeah, exactly.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah. And then the other thing with Ant Edwards, Game 4, I feel like was a very pivotal game for them. Uh, you won Game 1 in LA. Game 2 you lose, and then Game 3, of course, you win in Minnesota. That's probably like the most what that was the biggest spread between them. They won by like what
yeah,
12
yeah.
points.
Mhm.
Um, And then you have game 4 was a super close game. Obviously, Luke and Braun playing great, but then you got Ant Edwards play even better, put up 43.
Mhm.
That just shows me like no days off. They're relentless to lose. Like we stole one on the road, so let's go get two back at home, and let's try to go win Game 5, which they did in LA. And that's a team that's showing like they say, oh, let's go. We get a chance to do it, win back home. Like why put up what you could do today for tomorrow? So, and I feel that's the mindset they had. Like just win now, let's rest. We get as much rest as possible, which you're seeing to get a lot more time now with the Rockets and Warriors going into Game 7. So that's great for them. Obviously, they were going to be on the road regardless, since they were, the sixth seed. And I take it back. They want to be at home for Game 1 and Game 2. They want the Warriors. Obviously, I would say the Warriors would be the tougher team due to just the experience and the level of how Steph plays it when playoff time comes. But that would give them the home court advantage. But if they wanted, I feel that they would have played a young, more not so playoff season team. You would probably want the Rockets, but we'll see what happens. Let's jump into our next segment with the WNBA. Talk about the new acquisitions, that happened over there, and where we project teams to be in the playoff race for the 18 playoff race, and then who do we expect to be in the WNBA finals, and who we expect to win. Did you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So like I definitely like what the Mystics did. I think they picked up some good draft players. I think that they did a good job of drafting and being able to not only take advantage of the opportunity and where they draft, but also kind of address some things in terms of bringing someone around their bigs. They did a good job of creating cohesion within the draft. It's hard to pronounce her name. Sonia Citron.
It's
I
on.
love like yeah. I like what she does, and I like what Kiki brings to the table. I think that if they kind of can work on some of the things that I would say more so they can do in terms of the ball handling, and but also just the rebounds as well with the bigs that they already have. I think they could do something great and just kind of take it over. And I'm kind of I would say biased a little bit because I like what the Mystics are doing in their hometown. So like, and I want to see something come about. But I like the way they drafted, and I like the thing. I think that they can do something.
What WNBA teams you got being in the top 8? And then who do you got in the finals and who do you have winning?
Okay, so top eight, I would definitely say I definitely have to go with um Dallas Wings. I like the big that they have. I like the fact that they're actually making moves, and actually they have been consistent throughout these last couple of years. I like them. I have the Phoenix Mercury. I think the guard play is insanely good. Every year they come out, they show what they're doing, and they actually come to play. And then they're in a dogfight every year. I definitely love what the Chicago Sky are doing as well. I think with the reuniting of Haley Van Leeth and is it Van Luth or and I'm forgetting her name.
Injuries.
Yes, Reese. That's like they're gonna do something very good. And then I would say, what's that? Three. I love the Sparks. Believe it or not, I think they never get over that hump. But I think this year, with the additions and free agency, but also the draft, I think they could. And then I would say the sleeper that I have, if they kind of put everything together, definitely would be the Atlanta Dream. I just feel like they can definitely be able to, do some things that, a lot of people are not like really expecting out of them. They did add Brittany Griner, so I think that was something that was great for them. And then, definitely being able to see that. I am bad at math. How many was that? Like, I definitely have a list
What'd you
right
say? You
now.
said you was talking about what is it, the Sparks? I think you said
Sparks,
Dallas,
Mystics, Sky,
Mystics,
um,
Sky.
LA, and Atlanta. So that's like
The
six.
six, yeah, six.
Yeah, so I definitely Seattle Storm. I'm a big Skylar Diggs fan. Have always been since Notre Dame days. I think she's the glue that brings it all together. And Nekla, I'm not going to even try to pronounce that last name. She since her days at Stanford, like I said, were very good. And then cannot forget this one. I had to save it for last. Las Vegas Aces. Come on now. I mean, I think that they'll definitely be there all the time. As long as that they have that big, they're going to continue to be good. And I would say if I had to choose a top, you said four between those.
So who would yeah, what team would you have in the WNBA finals, and then what
Final,
team
oh,
would
finals.
you?
Oh yeah. So definitely Aces, and I'm gonna go with an underdog. Is with those, I'm gonna say I'm rooting for the Chicago Sky, man. I really I want them to I want an underdog pick. That's what I like to go with a favorite and an underdog. So I want to see what Haley Van Luth and Angel Reese. She came close last year, like despite like I feel like what the odds were that were against her, and that was her rookie year. So like I feel like if she doesn't let the distractions with her starting a new podcast and all the lights and glamour, like what's going on with Anthony Edwards and all that out off the court, I feel like she can put it together, and they did have a good draft. So I feel like if that the Aces, and I would say the Sky for sure for me.
So you jumped off the front porch with the Chicago Sky. But
I knew you would. I knew you were like what? Yeah, I was.
Beach. I mean, I do love acquisition of Ariel Atkins.
Yeah,
Uh, I loved her game. She played with the Washington Mystics throughout her career. Great guard. And then you got Vandersloot over there with the
yeah.
pair with Angel Reese and Cardoza. But yeah, going from that from what the eighth seed or ninth seed to WNBA finals the following years, it's a
We
little
gonna
crazy.
see. Yeah,
But
I,
but I do like the Dream as a sleeper though. That was definitely one of my sleepers. I think I had him at fifth if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I had him at five. The playoffs. I love Alicia Gray's game. Big
yeah,
question is, can Ryan Howard stay healthy? And if she can, that 1-2 punch added in addition now with Brittany Griner and Jones, definitely player the team that could be a sleeper. But my rank is 1 through 8. I had one Las Vegas Aces at one, and the reason why I put him at one, obviously they made that blockbuster trade. You're getting rid of Kelsey Plum, a great scorer, and you get another great scorer in Jewel Lloyd, another talented guard. And I feel as though that weakens weakens a solid Seattle Storm team that had Jewel Lloyd and Skylar Diggins paired last season. So it's great for them. They got to worry about going against a star guard like Jewel Lloyd, because now she's on your team. Um, and I just feel as though, it's a great team. Chelsea Gray is finally healthy. Jackie Young always does her thing. Yeah, they kind of remind me of of the woman version of a Villanova team with Jay Wright back in the day to run at four guards, and then always had that big. Except this time, Las Vegas has to have a great big. Unlike Villanova, they would have an okay big, but you got Asia Wilson, a dynamite player. So you can run that with you can run Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd, and then Chelsea Gray, and then throw somebody in there at the other spot, and then you have Asia Wilson. That's a solid team. Now you just gotta hope your benching um, produce, which I think they personally they should be able to. Just the fact off, I'm trying to look at their bench roster real quick. I know they got Dana Evans this past season, off season from Chicago Sky, solid guard. Can she stay healthy? You got Tiffany Mitchell, another solid guard. Um, so I think that they're going to be a solid team that could be able to play. Obviously going to ask for a lot more in Kia Stokes since she's going to be starting this year. So we'll see what she does with that. Um, Jump to my number two, New York Liberty. I kind of got a little bias to this because player went to the same high school with Natasha Cloud, shout out to Cardinal O'Hara, legend. Um, I feel as though you get a physical guard in Natasha Cloud that can defend as well as facilitate and score. Was it a few years back when she was with the Mystics and they played New York in that first round, she put up 30 plus on them. Obviously they still lost the series 2-1. Um, I mean 2-0 to New York Liberty, but she bought out nonetheless. So I feel that now you got a player like that to add on the team. I kind of feel like they might go back to back, but it's gonna be hard to beat the Aces team. It's gonna come down to whose bench gonna play better because the starters gonna do their thing. Third, I gotta say Minnesota Lynx. You bring back all five starters from last year, uh, WNBA Finals team. It's kind of hard to not see them as a 3 seed. I know a lot of people are seeing that this Indiana Fever team is definitely loaded, which they are. But I feel as though you bring all your starters back from last year from Minnesota, you get a Heidman over there and Diamond Miller. It's still a solid team. Which brings me to my next team, the third team with Indiana Fever. The GM definitely knew what they were doing. They seen that the fandom that Caitlin Clark was bringing not just to WNBA but to the Indiana Fever as well as just the Indiana community, sports community. You already had you brought back Kelsey Mitchell, wise decision. It was kind of no brainer to me that you had to do that. You had your two solid young core with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Then you bring back Kelsey Mitchell, a star veteran that can get a bucket at any moment. Then you follow up and go be able to get Natasha Howard, a solid big that played over there with Dallas. Now she's over there in Indiana. Great pickup. Then on top of that, you go get DeWanna Bonner. I feel as though a lot of these other GMs, the WNBA is playing checkers while the Fever GM is playing chess. Then you bring back Erica Wheeler. I feel as though this is a team that's a solid 3 seed. Obviously, they're young, but you get acquisition like that. It's kind of hard not to see them as a 3 seed. I mean, not a 3 seed, as a 4 seed. Yes, Atlanta Dream got BG over there, and I feel that's going to be a solid big three with Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, and then BG. But I feel as though the Fever GM definitely made the biggest moves outside of that blockbuster trade between Sparks, Seattle, and then Aces. Seattle, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. The Aces is already a rival of yours, the team that's light years ahead. I wouldn't say light years, but levels ahead of you, and you just make them better. That's just kind of idiotic to me. I mean, obviously, it's probably they wanted to make a move for whatever unforeseen reason, which I don't understand why they got rid of Joy Lloyd. Maybe they wanted to prioritize Skylar Dickens more or whatever. But I was a little confused by that. But the jumpies already talked about 5 Atlanta Dream, 6 Seattle Storm. Great solid team. Obviously you got Skylar Dickens. I expect she's gonna do more now that she's the prime guard. Without what's their name? Oh, without Joy Lloyd, we just talked about. Of course, you have Neko over there. Then you got the big from France. I feel that would be definitely a dynamic big for was it Dominique Malanga? She definitely gave Asia Wilson some problems in that championship game. I mean, Olympic gold medal game. Where's the championship game? Olympic gold medal game against France. 6'6", over there. You see in the videos of her just dunking. All the guys are saying out there, "Oh, I can't watch WNBA because they don't play above the rim."
Yeah.
All right, well, she play above the rim, so what's your next use going to be? I feel as though
Yeah.
she's going to be a great acquisition for them. Solid big rim protectors, going to cause a lot of havoc down there. Guards are going to think twice, as well as bigs will think twice coming in that paint when she's in there because she definitely is going to be able to protect the rim, and she's a good rebounder as well as she's going to score. So I feel as though that's why I put them at the 6th seed. Then 7 is Phoenix Mercury. You lost BG, you lost Natasha Howard, but you was able to get the Unicorn and Satu. Yeah, obviously Kalia Copper still there, great scoring guard. Um, then you got Alyssa Thomas, triple double machine. So
Mhm.
I feel as though that's the roster that's good enough to get you a 7th seed. I don't see them doing much in the playoffs because they couldn't guard, they couldn't cover water. Uh, if you gave them if you gave them a glass top. So but they're going to be able to score with the best of them. It's just can they defend with the best of them? And it's a hell no for me. Um, Los Angeles Spark, another team that's probably can score with the best of them, but again can't defend with anyone. But I feel as though they slip into the AFC. That Kelsey Plum trade was a great one. They expecting Cameron Brink to come back. I would say after All-Star break, which is great. Let's see. We'll see how this team plays without her and see if they can really be a solid team. That can make I wouldn't say a deep playoff run, but just making it into the playoffs. You get Kelsey Plum, a bona fide scorer. You pair it with Henry, young Rakia Jackson. So I like the roster from an offensive standpoint, but again, the defense, yeah, is non-existent outside of Cameron Brink. Obviously, I say that's one of the few players that are solid defenders. So you only have one defender on your team, yeah, that's a problem. Um, but I like Azora Stevens. So we'll see what they do. But I definitely got him as 8th seed. Now I can see the Dallas Wing might find a way to sneak in there and overtake the 8th seed over the Lakers if injuries come to happen or Cameron Brink doesn't come back the way she's supposed to after All-Star break.
Mhm.
Because I definitely do like their starting five and emphasis on the starting five. Um, you got Paige Beckers. Obviously, that was a no-brainer taking that one. You pair her
Yeah.
with Enrique. Dejanay Carrington, I feel as though it was a great acquisition for them.
Yeah.
Um, solid defender as well as she can score the best of them. You got Nalissa Smith, quality power forward. She did it all right with Indiana, but they saw it was time for move on from her. So that was a good pickup from, especially after them losing Natasha Howard. Tierra McCown, big 6'8" girl, definitely a bucket to defend as well. They don't talk about her enough. You get Hines Allen. In the offseason, I'm shocked she left Minnesota for whatever reason. I don't understand it unless it was straight for cash or something for money. But a team that just went to WNBA Finals, you lead them to go to a team that's we don't know if they're gonna even gonna make the playoffs. But everyone makes decisions best for their future. So here we are. Um, yeah. So another shout out to the Golden State Valkyries.
Mhm.
Obviously we know they're not gonna do nothing with this roster, but um, it's good to see, Kate Martin. We're gonna see if she's gonna,
International.
blossom.
Yeah.
Because now I would say I don't want to say she is the focal. We're going to see, you got Carla Leite and Chloe Bibby, two rookies they picked up. But I feel like you look at this roster, you got Jolie Van Loo, Veronica Burton, Tiffany Hayes, Monique Billings, and Kayla Thornton. I feel like Kayla Thornton, I know she's probably pissed that she's not on the Liberty anymore, but this is just a team full of misfits. It was kind of like a team of people like you take these players because we don't want them anymore, but you ain't taking our best player because this is we got to give up somebody.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, but I love Tiffany Hayes. She's a bucket, but it's either going to be her or Kate Martin is going to be the face of that team as of day one for Golden State Valkyries. But that's definitely a team nobody's looking at to be like shock the world and make the playoffs. I don't see it in anyone and I guess any of these newly found Golden State Valkyrie fans couldn't convince me that this team is making the playoffs because again, it's a team of people that
Yeah.
it's a team that the rest of the teams get players that gave up that they didn't want no more. Let's just call a spade a spade. Ace plus 10 is always going to equal blackjack. So we'll see what they do. But my team in the WNBA finals, I'm going to say Liberty and Aces. And
Yeah.
let me look at the benches again. Uh because it's gonna come down to what bench is gonna play better. All right, you got Lainey Hamilton. She's coming off the ACL injury. Rebecca Gardner, Isabella Harrison. Okay, that's Liberty. Then you got Aces, they got Dana. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Liberty. I take it back. I got Liberty going back to back because if it comes down to the bench play, yeah, I'm not sold on Aces bench. I'm just gonna be. I like Dana. I like Dana Evans. I don't trust Kirsten Bell to bring quality minutes. Queen Egbo, bless her heart, but no. Um, but yeah,
Sir.
Aces, you're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to play that roster. Somebody in that starter going to play all like majority of the game. And it's probably gonna have to be a Joy Lloyd, or they like keep swapping out. Uh, they maybe like keep swapping out Joel Lloyd and Chelsea Gray for Dana Evans when they need to have take a breather. But somebody on that starting line will have to be in the game. From that starting line, have to be out there for the majority of the game if they want to win. Well, I mean, not for not like regular season, but for like when he gets to the playoff run, they're gonna have somebody got to be out there majority. So hope Becky Hammon getting them conditioning right, which I'm sure she is with great coach come off the Popovich tree. So, but yeah, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to these playoff games today. What WNBA players today? Well, I think FIBA play at 4, right?
Yeah, so isn't that don't they play Brazil's national team? Um,
Shout out to WNBA. Finally, getting smart, showing like more storytelling. I don't know if you saw the image where Dejanay Carrington had a picture. It was like on like the clipboard. You know how like when parents make their kids do like year such and such or grade
mhm.
whatever. So I feel like that was smart. So whoever did that over there, I don't know if that was a, like WNBA thing or that was a Dallas Wings. Shout out to their communications and marketing. That was a brilliant move by them. Somebody needs a raise. Um, but yeah, they played FIBA today. I mean, they played Brazil today. And I think it's great that they've been playing these country teams. Shout out to Brazil and WNBA for bringing that connection. Obviously, Cardoza playing against your home country,
Yeah,
and it's smart that they're doing this preseason game, which I thought was pretty interesting, and where some of these players played at. Like you got the
yeah,
LSU game, Brazil, Chicago. Again, somebody is thinking over there, and somebody needs a pay raise because obviously they built on their momentum. And then you had Dallas Wayne Aces play over there in Notre Dame, when you had players like Jackie Young that was from Notre Dame, um, Enrique that's from Notre Dame. So it was just great seeing like players like that's in currently WNBA playing at their colleges. That obviously they've been there for a few years now, but it was just smart. And I was like, somebody's over there really like thinking like, okay, how can we move the needle, continue to move the needle for WNBA sports, and that's great. Like bringing, playing, not just playing themselves, because obviously you got 44 games. We want to see these teams playing each other, so it's great to see that they're bringing Brazil. Hopefully, they implement another country. I would say next season maybe a France,
yeah,
somebody else, maybe even Africa, because we're trying to continue to build that partnership. A lot of
yeah.
African players in the WNBA. So.
And they're playing at the University of Iowa,
Yeah,
Caitlin.
that's just see another
Yeah,
thing. Like it's like,
yeah,
okay, we know Clark gonna bring the fans, and let's just
yeah,
make another decision and just bring him to Iowa, where it all started for her. So yeah,
mhm,
someone is doing good storytelling, and PR
yeah,
moves is through the roof. So shout out
yeah,
to them for finally thinking outside the box. So this is a great start. Hopefully they continue to build on success for not just women's sports, but particularly WNBA.
no.
So yeah, appreciate you coming on. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I mean I'm definitely looking forward to these games, like you said tonight. I'm interested to see the matchup between Halliburton and I would say Donovan Mitchell. Definitely want to see how the Cavs come out, or they're going to be stagnant. Definitely want to see if the Warriors build up to the hype. I mean I definitely think they can, but like I said, you see what Timberwolves did. Wouldn't be surprised if the Rockets did it. And
Okay.
so.
That's pretty bold talk. We'll see what happens. But
Mhm.
again, we're looking for a few more people in our $100 WNBA fantasy basketball league. First place we get 600, second place 300, third place 100. So if you want to get into our league, feel free to DM us on social media. So yeah, appreciate you coming on, Jeremy.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
I see it.
Yes, sir.